Welcome back to another week of Power Rankings. My name is Hunter, and today we're going to get into how the NFL is shaping up after Week 11, a week where lots did happen, and there was big wins, big losses, big changes around the league, and overall, lots to talk about since this week ended. But before we get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and there's lots to be excited about for this channel. I'm going to try to release as much content as I can, although I am pretty busy. But when I can, I'm going to be releasing videos like the Power Rankings weekly and then potentially some predictions about the last couple weeks of the season. And then when we get to playoffs, there will be a lot of content then. So just be on the lookout for all that in the upcoming weeks, and let's get into it. At number 32, I have the New York Giants. And the Giants did not play this week. They were on bye after their Germany game, but changes are happening in their organization. They go to Tommy DeVito. Daniel Jones is now the quarterback 4 for that team. And yeah, this team is going to try to tank to get a quarterback. But last year, Tommy DeVito ruined the tank. And let's see if he could do it again, where this team could potentially end up not drafting a quarterback because they fall too far down the order and there's not many great prospects left for them to pick up, or prospects that they're at least fond of. But New York, this is rock bottom, but there is definitely hope on the other side, which is this offseason. Now going to number 31, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Vegas Raiders are a team that just came off their bye but lost to the Miami Dolphins in a game where Gardner Minshew didn't look that bad. Brock Bowers is continuing to show why he might have a case at Offensive Rookie of the Year, despite there being two major contenders I will get to in the later portions of this video. And the Raiders, it's all about finishing off that tank and getting the quarterback they want. Shedeur seems like he wants to go there, and I wouldn't be shocked if that's who the Raiders ended up going with. But the Raiders' focus is not on this season, more likely the future. Now at number 30, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are a team that they just got absolutely destroyed by the Lions. It seems like they're going to hold on to Doug Peterson, though, until at least the end of the season, because you would have likely fired your coach after that embarrassing of a performance. The defense did not show up. The offense didn't show up. And there's just not what they were over the past couple of years. Or last year, they got so close to making the playoffs, but they choked in the late stages. And the year before, they were a divisional team. So obviously, lots going wrong. Jacksonville is a team that I think is on the lookout for Travis Hunter, just in case they do drop a couple more games and finish with a top 3 pick. I feel like that's a place where Travis Hunter can go. But right now, I have them at 30. At number 29, I have the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are an interesting team to me because they are a team that also needs a quarterback, and this is possibly one of the most enticing places for a quarterback to go this offseason because there is a lot there defensively. You have offensive pieces like Nick Chubb, like Cedric Tillman, who's playing very well for them, but they just can't piece it together this season at least. They pieced it together last year, but this season's been completely different. They get a multi-touchdown loss to the Saints this week where Taysom Hill, who we'll get to when we talk about the Saints, did everything against this Browns team. And ultimately in Cleveland, the focus is also on next year, like many of the teams near the bottom of the rankings. At number 28, I have the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans are another team that they keep losing games, and they're going to be on the lookout for a quarterback because Will Levis is obviously not the answer. They put up a decent fight against Minnesota this week, but yet again, they drop to 2-8. And all those offseason acquisitions have looked bad and looked good at certain times. The one looking good right now is Calvin Ridley. After DeAndre Hopkins got traded, he looks like he's the potential wide receiver 1 in Tennessee for years to come. Now I'm going to get to the New York Jets at 27, and I was in person for this game. I saw the New York Jets offense did not get a first down until 2 minutes left in the first half, and there was boos all over because Aaron Rodgers is not doing what was expected in New York. This entire team is failing to do what they expected to do. Joe Douglas, their general manager, is out the door. He is fired, and it seems like there's going to be a new regime coming into New York next year, and it's up to owner Woody Johnson to figure out what that may be. But right now, their season is over. They're 3-8, which is severely below expectations, and just the Jets gonna jet. Now at 26, I have the Carolina Panthers, and the Panthers are a team that was on bye this past week, and I did move them up a bit just because of what's happening in the area around them. But there is kind of hope. They're on a bit of a streak right now, and I expect Bryce Young to continue to play well because he's fighting for his job. He got a second chance at his job, and he's proving that he's not as bad as it looked like in his first season and a half as a Panther. So, hope in Carolina, but for them, it's also about next year as well. On to number 25, I have the Dallas Cowboys, who this season, it seems like, is lost ever since Dak Prescott got hurt. It was kind of just a somber tone on this year. They've been pretty much broken the entire year. They haven't looked like the same Cowboys that they did last year. And a big part of that is that now Cooper Rush is the quarterback. And from here on out, I think it's about Dallas getting a higher draft pick to get a player in there that's going to be a difference maker, because I think that's how the Cowboys can go back to competing next year if they bring in a key piece. Number 24, I have the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots are a team that they did lose this week to the LA Rams, but once again, Drake May is continuing to look impressive. And that's what you want to see if you're a Patriots fan, because he seems like he could be the future there. And this is another team that I would expect would love to draft Travis Hunter, because I feel like they're one key corner and receiver away from being good on both sides of the ball. They've proven they can be a good defense in some games this season. And with Drake May, they've proven they can be a solid offense. So New England is honestly this high because of their outlook towards the future, because their future is looking a lot better than some of the teams lower than them on this list. So that's why I have New England up here at 24. Now the Saints are on a winning streak. They're at 23. And after that 7-game losing streak, things looked like it spiraled out of control quickly, but they've gotten 2 wins to get back into some sort of contention this season. It seems like Allen was the problem. They bring in their interim Darren Rizzi, and he's doing a great job in his 2 games as head coach. And for the Saints, they're on bye this week, but once they come out of the bye, if they can string together a 5 or 6 wins, right now they're at 4-7, but if they can get to a positive record, there's a chance they can compete for the division again, which after that 7-game losing streak seemed impossible. So it's not all over for New Orleans yet, because there's hope, because they've won 2 in a row. Going into their division as well, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were on bye this past week, and for them, it's about getting healthy again. Mike Evans is back, and they have a game against the Giants where they have an opportunity to end this losing streak that they're on and get back in the win column. But a loss this week seems season-ending if you're Tampa Bay. So they're playing for their season. Baker Mayfield is not the problem. It's been pretty much other things that have contributed to their losses. But if Tampa Bay is wanting to jump back into this playoff race, it starts with a win at MetLife Stadium this weekend. So right now I've dropped them 2, even though they were on their bye, to 22. A team that they've played really well or really bad, it's the Chicago Bears. They're at 21, and this week was a week where they played well, similar to the game against the Commanders where they lost in the final play. They lose in the final play against their rival, the Green Bay Packers. This Bears team has not beat the Packers in a very long time, and many people thought that this year was the year where this long losing streak in that rivalry could end, but it does not because of a block last second. I was impressed with Caleb Williams, though, in this game. He figured out how to use his legs because he was running it very well and getting his passes there. It seems like this offensive coordinator switch that they did at the tail end of this past week is going to change the look for the Bears. But the thing with the Bears is, after their last loss, where they lost in the last play of the game, they have not adjusted since. They have to adjust and move on and start winning games if they want to go anywhere this season. And in a tough NFC North, where the Bears have 5 more divisional games to play over their last couple games of the year, it's going to be very hard. But right now, I have the Bears at 21. At number 20, I have the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals are a team that have all the talent in the world. Joe Burrow is having his best season of his career. Ja'Marr Chase is having probably his best season of his career. Trey Hendrickson is having one of the best seasons of his career. Yet this team is 4-7 because they just fail to capitalize on key opportunities. They went down by a lot early on against the Chargers. They came all the way back just for their defense to collapse again late, something that is a trend if you look at their games across the season. And for Cincinnati, it's do or die coming out of their bye, where they have to realistically win 5 or 6 games out of their last 6 to make the playoffs. So do or die, every game is for their lives from here on out, and that's something you wouldn't expect out of one of the most talented teams in the league, the Cincinnati Bengals. At number 19, I have the Miami Dolphins, and this team has figured it out. Once Tua came back, there was just a slight increase of play, and they are now starting to win football games, and realistically, playoffs are not out of the window. They are 4-6 right now with a lot of what they need to do in front of them, and if this team could get to 9 or 10 wins, they can very easily make the playoffs. If Tua continues to play the way he's been playing, then I can see this team definitely doing it and almost being a lock to do it because that's how talented this Miami offense is, and the defense has started to play well when they can. So for Miami, lots of hope there. Right now they're at 19. Indianapolis sit at number 18, and I watched the game in person, and Anthony Richardson had his best game of the year. He had that key 2-minute drill in the end to win the game, and it was something that you needed to see out of Richardson because he was just benched. And what do you do the week after the organization puts their faith back into you? And that's take your team to the victory. And for Indy, playoffs are definitely not out of the question. They're a game out right now. And with some key wins down the stretch, including a game against the Broncos, the team that occupy the 7th seed right now, Indy could definitely get into the playoffs. It's just a matter of fact of can Anthony Richardson play the way he played on Sunday across the last 6 games of the season. So it remains to be seen, but hope in Indy, they're at number 18. At number 17, I have the LA Rams, and the Rams are a team that once again they get their win this week, and Matthew Stafford played an amazing game. He got it to all his receivers, and the Rams are a team that I was saying for multiple weeks, once they get healthy, they're a team to watch. And they have been a team to watch since they've gotten fully healthy. They're 5-5 in a really, really competitive division where I'm going to be mentioning a couple of teams here in a row from the NFC West. And what I'm going to say for all of them is it comes down to their divisional games on whether they can win them and get into the playoffs as the NFC West winner. And speaking of the NFC West, I have the Niners at 16, and they take a loss to their divisional opponent this week, the Seahawks. And these are games the Niners have to be winning. The expectations coming into the season were high, and then the excuse over the first half of the season was, oh, we don't have Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey's back, and you're still dropping these games that you should be winning. And right now, at 5-5, the Niners need to finish with a 10-7 record, likely in the NFC, to make it. And I don't know if they can, because I don't know if the way they're playing is sustainable across these last couple of games. But for the Niners, tough loss this week. They let Geno, who we'll get to in a second, drive down the field late and win it. And the Niners, just lots to improve on. They have their game against the Packers on Sunday, where that could be a jump start for the second half of the season to go better for them. And I was saying that I was about to speak about the Seahawks. They are at number 15, and Seattle, they get that win over the 49ers. And I was speaking about how they needed to be that football team they were in the first 3 weeks of the year when they started off 3-0. And finally, they got back to that form versus the Niners. They were able to keep the Niners' offense in check while scoring in the key moments to get the win. And Seattle, once again, this team is a question mark every time they step on the field because they'll either be a playoff-worthy team or a team that is looking like they are a bottom 10 team in the NFL. So Seattle, they just need to erase those question marks, and they need to start winning games if they want to get into the playoffs. But there's definitely hope there, so I've moved them up 4 spots to number 15. Number 14 is a team that is beginning to slide, and it is the Atlanta Falcons. And for Atlanta, they dropped yet another game, this time getting absolutely blown out by the Denver Broncos. And the Falcons are going into their bye on a losing streak, and this is the perfect time for the Falcons to get a bye because it allows them to reset, because the Falcons are most likely going to win the NFC South. And they need to start winning these games late season if they want to go into the playoffs with momentum and potentially knock off some NFC top teams and potentially make a run in the postseason. And the way they're playing offensively right now is not it. Kirk Cousins is not doing what he was doing a couple of games ago. Defensively, they're not making the stops they need. And there's all the talent in the world on this Atlanta team. It's just can they execute? And right now they're not. So I've moved them down to 14. And the team they played, the Denver Broncos, is at number 13. And Bo Nix has easily put himself into the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation with his play. He's taking this Denver team to heights that I never saw them having before the year. Bo Nix is impressing me a lot, and so is that defense, because the defense was the key piece of why they started off well. And once the offense figured it out, the defense is also continuing to play at that level. And the way that Denver is playing right now, I think they're going to sneak into the playoffs. It's just, can they keep it going? They almost beat the Chiefs last week. They destroyed the Falcons this week. And there's just a lot to be excited about for this Denver Broncos team. So I've moved them up to 13. At number 12, I have their divisional opponent, the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Chargers are a team that I was also low on going into this season, and they have proved me wrong exactly. J.K. Dobbins, I was concerned about their running game, and he's proven to be one of the best running backs in the NFL this season. I was concerned about their receivers. Ladd McConkey's playing well, and Josh Palmer's playing well. And it seems like a receiving core that lost Keenan Allen and Mike Williams this past offseason got better this year. Justin Herbert's playing well. This defense is making the stops when they need to. And the Chargers are a team that people need to look out for because they can definitely upset a few teams come playoff time. And I would not want to play the Chargers in the first round the way they are playing right now. Now on to an NFC team. I have the Arizona Cardinals at 11. They were on bye this past week, but it doesn't matter what you say about this Cardinals team. They have been really impressive, and they need to keep playing that way, especially Kyler Murray, who is potentially, if the Cardinals go on a late season winning streak like they were going into the bye with, the guy could be considered for MVP. That's how well he's been playing, and you just wanted to continue that way if you were a fan of the Cardinals. So right now I have them at 11. Moving back into the top 10 this week, I have the Houston Texans, who over a couple weeks looked really shaky. They answered those questions nicely against the Cowboys on Monday night. C.J. Stroud played well. Joe Mixon got in the end zone 3 times. Their defense made stops. And this Texans team that over the course of the last couple weeks lost to the New York Jets, which is embarrassing at this point. They just needed to figure it out. And Houston, I think they will because they have the talent to do so. They get Nico Collins back, and he is one of the best receivers in the NFL. So with him back, I expect this team to be much better, and that's why they got the win, and that's why they're back in the top 10 at number 10. At number 9, I have the Commanders, who are beginning to go on a bit of a slide, but I believe there's not much question here. They do drop this week to the Eagles in a game where their offense never really got going. Both teams really never got the offense going until Saquon kind of broke open the game for the Eagles late, which helped the Eagles get the win over the Commanders. But Jaden Daniels just needs to play up to that form that we know he can, because he was playing absolutely amazing the first couple of weeks of the season, and he's kind of stalled down a bit, but there's definitely belief in that team. Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, that coaching staff has really made this team a good team, and I think the Commanders are going to continue to win games. They play the Cowboys this week. That should be a win for them, but a quick little 2-game slide is not the best if you are a Commanders fan. At number 8, I have the Green Bay Packers, who escaped with the win over the Bears this week in a game where they didn't really deserve to win. Jordan Love was not at his best. The defense was on the field for long periods of time, and the Packers just escaped with a win. That's what good teams do. And it was a big block at the end from Carl Brooks that got it done for the Packers. And next week is another prove-it game. There's definitely lots of question marks for this Packers team. They play the Niners this week, and if they get the win, lots of those questions are answered, and this team is put back into that Super Bowl contender place that I know they can be in. But right now, they are at number 8. At number 7, I have the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens are a team that has potentially the best offense in the league when they're on, but they just got shut down by a good defense against the Steelers. And the Ravens are a team that I believe their record is not a real representation of what they are. I believe they're way better than 7-4, but to lose that game this week was a bad sign of things to come, because if you don't win the division, there's a chance you can go on the road in the first round and play a team like the Steelers that proven they can beat you. And there's also the Chiefs, Bills, teams that are tough to play against in the playoffs. So the Ravens need to get back on that train that they were on for that win streak they had after their 0-2 start. And they just need to start winning games, because I know this team is talented enough to do so. At number 6, I have the Minnesota Vikings, who just continue to win. And I did not expect this Vikings team to be as good as they are. And Sam Darnold, he had turnover concerns, but he turns in a really good game against the Titans this week, had enough to get the win. And this defense is going to be the main identity for this Vikings team. Right now, they're the 5 seed. They'll probably play a team like the Falcons or Cardinals in the first round. And defensively, that's a great matchup for them, because I believe the Vikings can easily stop those teams. So be on the lookout for the Vikings to go on a run. They're 8-2, so obviously their record proves that they can go on a run. It's just, can they? And let's see how they do over the second half of the season. Now into the top 5, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Once again, they didn't need a touchdown to win against the Baltimore Ravens, and that's a really good sign. They've won 2 games this year against teams with winning records where they didn't have to score a touchdown to win. That just proves how good the Steelers defense is, and I think the Steelers team is the best they've been in recent years and the most prepared to go on a playoff run. If they can close out the AFC North, they'll have a home playoff game, something they haven't done since they won the division in 2020, and I have belief in the Steelers to get it done in the big games, because they've proven they can. And from here on out, it's just, can Russell Wilson take that offense to the next level and take this team to the next level? Now at number 4, I have, in the state of Pennsylvania as well, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Commanders in a key division game, and now they are the 2 seed in the NFC. They're proving that they are the top competition to the number 1 team on this list for the NFC title, because Saquon Barkley is crazy good if nobody knew that already. And the Eagles are just a great football team. They're built to win. And last year, late season, they were just in some sort of funk. They really weren't playing the football that they should be playing, and now they're back to doing so. So the Eagles are definitely on watch to win a Super Bowl this year, and that's why I have them at number 4. Speaking of Super Bowl, the defending champions finally lose their first game of the year. I have the Kansas City Chiefs at 3. They drop it to the Bills, and a game where I didn't think they played that bad. It was just a good football game from both sides. And once again, this Chiefs team usually loses to the Bills in the regular season. It's about when they play in the playoffs, which the Chiefs have won every time, that the Chiefs show why they're a current dynasty in the NFL. A bit of concerns offensively, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. And Kansas City is down a spot to 3. And swapping with them going from 3 to 2 is Buffalo, who beat them. And Buffalo are a team that, yes, they're playing the best they've ever played under Josh Allen. They are 8-2, and they're potentially locking up the AFC East within the next 2 weeks. And with a Chiefs loss, this team could potentially be the 1 seed if they win out. And Josh Allen is my MVP candidate right now. I think he's playing the football that he needs to be playing. He had that crazy run to clinch the game. The defense is making the plays. And if you're a Bills fan, there's just a lot to be excited about. So right now, I have them at number 2. And at number 1, I have the Detroit Lions. And the Lions, just absolute destruction of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jared Goff puts over 400 yards passing on the day. Amon-Ra St. Brown has a big game. Defensively, they continue to play well. It's just, can they do this against good teams? Can they pile on offensively? Because they've proven they can do it against multiple teams that are near the bottom of the league. Just, can they do it against these good teams? And that's how the Lions are potentially going to win the Super Bowl, and that's why they are the betting Super Bowl favorites as of the end of this week. But that will do it for the power rankings this week. If you liked them, leave a like, and I will see you guys next week with the power rankings, and I will do a prediction for the rest of the season next week. So be on the lookout. See you guys.